Senior women, let me ask you something honest. Have you ever walked out of a doctor's office with more questions than answers? You sat there, you shared your worries, you explained how you were feeling, and yet, deep inside, you walked away thinking, did they really listen to me? Or worse, are they even telling me the whole truth? You're not alone. So many women in their golden years feel exactly the same way, but nobody talks about it. And here's the scary part, sometimes, those questions your doctor asks aren't just routine. Sometimes, they're designed to make you doubt yourself, to make you stay quiet, and to keep you from challenging what you're told. Now, think about that for a moment. At this stage of your life, trust in your doctor isn't just important, it's everything. It can be the difference between getting the care you deserve, or being brushed aside. It can be the difference between living your later years with dignity, or with silent suffering. But what if I told you this? Some of the questions doctors ask you aren't meant to help at all. In fact, some of them are traps. They sound harmless on the surface, but deep down, they're designed to mislead you. That's why today's video is so important. I'm going to share with you the 5 most concerning questions a doctor might ask, and why, if you hear them, you should pause and think twice before answering. Because once you recognize these red flags, you'll never sit in an exam room the same way again. You'll know how to protect yourself, how to push back, and how to make sure your health, and your voice, are never ignored. So here's what I want you to do right now, before we dive in. If you've ever left an appointment feeling dismissed, doubted, or confused, go ahead and type in the comments, "I'm listening." Because this conversation, right here, could be one of the most important ones you'll ever have about your health. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join us at Elderly Wisdom Tips. This is the place where seniors like you uncover the truths no one else will tell you about your health, your care, and your dignity. Let's begin with the first red flag. Imagine this. You're sitting across from your doctor. You've gone there because something doesn't feel right. Maybe it's constant fatigue, maybe it's a new ache that won't go away, maybe it's just that sense in your gut that something is off. Instead of diving into your symptoms, instead of looking you in the eye and asking the right questions, the doctor leans forward and says, "How much do you trust me as your doctor?" Now, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a bad question. In fact, some people might even think it's nice. It almost sounds like the doctor is trying to connect with you. But let's pause for a second and really think about this. Why would a doctor ask you if you trust them? Shouldn't trust come naturally from the care they provide, from the way they listen, and from the clarity of the answers they give? Here's the truth. For many older women, especially those in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, doctors often assume you're more emotional or that you're overthinking things. So when they ask this trust question, it's not always about building a relationship, it can actually be a subtle test. What they're really trying to find out is this: will you challenge me? Will you question what I say? Or will you sit quietly and nod, even if something doesn't feel right? And this is where so many seniors get caught. Because we were raised in a time when doctors were seen almost like authority figures, almost like they could do no wrong. Back then, you didn't question a doctor. You listened, you obeyed, you trusted. But times have changed. Medicine has changed. And sadly, not every doctor has your best interest at heart. Some are rushed. Some are dismissive. And some are more focused on getting you out of the room than truly solving what's going on inside your body. So here's the big misconception: when a doctor asks if you trust them, many seniors think it's a bonding moment, a way to strengthen the relationship. But in reality, it's often a way to shut down the conversation. Because once you say, "Yes, of course I trust you," it becomes much harder for you to push back. It makes it easier for them to dismiss your questions. It makes it easier for them to brush past your doubts. But here's what I want you to remember: trust should never be forced with words. Trust should be earned through actions. You deserve a doctor who explains things clearly, who backs up their advice with evidence, who takes the time to make sure you understand what's happening in your body. Anything less than that is not real trust, it's manipulation. So the next time a doctor asks, "Do you trust me?" don't feel pressured to give a simple yes or no. Instead, flip it back. Say something like, "I trust the facts and clear explanations. Can you explain why this treatment is right for me?" That one sentence changes everything. It takes the power out of their hands and puts it back where it belongs, with you. It lets them know that you're not just going to accept vague words. You want clarity. You want reasons. And most importantly, you want respect. Because here's the reality, your health is too precious to hand over blindly. At this stage of your life, you need answers, not assumptions. You need honesty, not rehearsed lines. And if a doctor can't handle being questioned, then maybe they're not the doctor for you. And here's the thing, trust isn't the only area where doctors sometimes test you. Once they know they can't silence you with a simple trust question, they might try a different tactic. They might start to downplay something even more important, your pain. And that brings us to the second red flag question a doctor might ask you. You're sitting there, trying to explain what you've been feeling. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest that doesn't go away, maybe it's a dull ache in your hip that makes it hard to sleep, maybe it's that sharp pain in your back that seems to come out of nowhere. You gather the courage to speak up. You describe it as best as you can. And then, instead of taking you seriously, the doctor leans back and says, "Are you sure it hurts that much?" Now pause right there. Imagine how that feels. You've lived in your body for over 60, 70, even 80 years. You know when something feels different. You know when something isn't right. Yet in that moment, it's as if your voice is being dismissed, as if your pain is being questioned. It's subtle, but it plants a seed of doubt. Here's the truth, this happens to women far more than it happens to men. Study after study has shown that when women describe pain, especially older women, it's too often brushed aside as exaggeration or just aging. Heart disease, for example, is the #1 killer of women, yet women's heart symptoms are frequently minimized compared to men's. Where a man might get immediate testing for chest pain, a woman is more likely to be told it's anxiety, stress, or even indigestion. And here's where the danger lies. Once a doctor asks, "Are you sure it hurts that much?" many seniors begin to second-guess themselves. You might think, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I should just go home and see if it goes away. That small hesitation can mean everything. Because what if that chest pressure was the early sign of a heart attack? What if that hip pain was more than arthritis? What if that nagging backache was something more serious, something that needed to be caught early? This is the misconception so many fall into. We believe that because the doctor questioned it, maybe we imagined it, maybe it's not as bad as it feels. But your pain is real. And your experience is valid. No one has the right to make you doubt what you feel inside your own body. So here's a powerful step you can take, don't rely on memory alone. Keep a journal of your symptoms. Write down when they happen, how long they last, how intense they feel, and what seems to trigger them. For example, sharp chest pain lasted 5 minutes, worse when I was climbing stairs. Or, hip pain, stabbing at night, kept me awake until 2 a.m. This way, you walk into the doctor's office with evidence. Not just your word, but patterns, details, proof. And when a doctor asks, "Are you sure it hurts that much?" you can calmly respond, "Yes. Here's when it happens, here's how it feels, and here's how often it comes back." That kind of clarity forces them to look closer. It shifts the conversation from doubt to facts. Because remember this. Your pain is not up for debate. It doesn't matter how old you are, how strong you've been, or how long you've carried on without complaint. If it hurts, it matters. And if someone dismisses it, you have every right to push back until you get real answers. But if questioning your pain isn't enough, sometimes doctors take it one step further. Sometimes, they don't just challenge what you feel in your body, they challenge what you remember in your mind. Let's talk about the third red flag. You're sitting in the office, you've waited patiently, you've gathered your thoughts about what you want to say this time. Maybe you've been dealing with the same problem for weeks, shortness of breath, swelling in your legs, dizziness that comes out of nowhere. You start explaining, carefully, because you remember exactly how it's been happening. But then, out of nowhere, the doctor tilts their head and says, "Do you even remember what we discussed last time?" Now, think about how that feels. In a single sentence, your credibility is questioned. It's no longer about your symptoms, it's about your memory. Suddenly, you're not the expert of your own body anymore. You're being framed as forgetful, confused, maybe even incapable of keeping track of your health. Here's the truth, yes, cognitive decline is real. Memory lapses happen, especially with age. But not every senior woman struggles with memory. Not every woman in her 70s or 80s is confused or forgetful. Yet too many doctors jump to that assumption simply because of your age. They see the number, not the person. And that is not only unfair, it's dangerous. Because once a doctor questions your memory, it gives them room to dismiss what you say. Maybe she's exaggerating. Maybe she doesn't remember correctly. Maybe it's not as serious as she thinks. And here's the part that hurts even more, sometimes your own family members side with the doctor. They'll say things like, "Oh mom, maybe you just forgot." Or, "Grandma, the doctor probably knows better." And in that moment, your voice, the voice that has lived in your body all these years, is drowned out. But let me tell you this, just because you're older does not mean you're confused. Just because you've lived long does not mean your words are less reliable. You deserve to be heard, to be taken seriously, to be respected. So how do you protect yourself from this subtle dismissal? Here's a simple, powerful step: bring a notebook to every appointment. Write down what you experience between visits. Write down what the doctor says during each appointment. And if writing feels too much, have a trusted person sit with you, whether it's a daughter, a son, a sibling, or even a close friend. Not only does this give you accountability, it also prevents your words from being brushed aside. Because once it's written down, once there's a witness, no one can say, "Maybe you don't remember." This one small habit can change everything. It shows that you are serious, that you are prepared, and that your memory should not be underestimated. And it sends a clear message to your doctor: you are paying attention, you are keeping track, and you will not be dismissed. Because the truth is, your voice matters just as much today as it did when you were younger. Your words carry weight, and your health is too important to be silenced by a careless question. But here's the thing, if they're not questioning your memory, some doctors take another approach. Instead of focusing on what you can or cannot recall, they shift to something even more personal: your independence. And now, we come to the fourth red flag question. Picture this: a grandmother, living proudly in her own home. She waters her plants in the morning, she cooks her meals the way she likes, she keeps everything just the way it has always been. She's managing fine, maybe even better than fine. And then, in a doctor's office, she hears these words: "Do you really think you can live alone safely?" In that moment, everything shifts. It's no longer just about her blood pressure, her bones, or her medications. It's about her independence, her freedom, her dignity, her ability to make her own choices. That single question can plant a seed of fear. Suddenly, she starts doubting herself. Am I really safe? What if something happens? What if they're right and I shouldn't be on my own? Now, let's be clear. Yes, falls are a serious concern for seniors. Yes, medications can sometimes cause dizziness or side effects. Safety is important, no question about it. But here's the truth: many seniors are perfectly capable of living alone when they have the right support systems in place. A handrail by the stairs, good lighting in the hallway, a phone or alert system within reach, these small adjustments make a huge difference. But instead of focusing on those practical solutions, some doctors use this question in a different way. Sometimes it's not about concern at all. Sometimes it's a subtle push, toward assisted living, toward nursing homes, toward expensive services you may not even need. And because the question sounds caring, many women don't realize the pressure behind it. They nod along, they accept it, and before they know it, their independence slips away. This is the big misconception. That question, do you really think you can live alone safely? Sounds like love, but too often, it's control. It's not about what's best for you personally, it's about convenience for others, or profit for a system. And it leaves so many women feeling powerless. But here's what you can do. Don't answer it out of fear. Don't let that seed of doubt take root. Instead, turn it back to them with a simple but powerful response. What specific risks do you see for me personally? Not seniors in general. Not vague statistics. You. Your body. Your situation. That one question forces the doctor to be honest. If there are real risks, they should be able to explain them clearly. And if they can't, then maybe the issue isn't your safety, it's their assumptions. Because the truth is, independence is not a luxury. It's part of your identity, your dignity, your well-being. Living alone doesn't have to mean living unsafely. It means living wisely, with the right precautions, and refusing to be rushed into decisions that don't serve you. And that brings us to the fifth and final red flag question, a question that, in many ways, is the most misleading of them all. Imagine this. You're sitting in the doctor's office, and you decide to ask something important. Maybe it's about your cholesterol levels. Maybe it's about your weight. Maybe it's even about intimacy, because yes, intimacy still matters in your golden years. You gather the courage to speak up, because you care about your health, your comfort, and your quality of life. And then, the doctor gives you that dismissive smile and says, at your age, do you really need to worry about that? Can you feel the sting in those words? In just one sentence, your question, your concern, your dignity, it all gets brushed aside. Suddenly, your health is treated like it's optional. As though once you've reached a certain birthday, your body no longer deserves attention. As though you should just accept it and stop asking for better. But here's the truth, every age deserves dignity in health. Whether you are 40, 60, or 80, your body, your comfort, and your peace of mind still matter. Preventive care doesn't stop just because your hair is gray or your skin has wrinkles. In fact, it matters even more. Because the choices you make today, the food you eat, the medications you take, the habits you keep, determine not just how long you live, but how well you live. Here's the misconception so many fall into. They believe that after a certain age, health concerns don't matter anymore. They believe it's too late to improve, too late to change, too late to fight. And that belief? It robs people of years they could have lived with energy, with comfort, with joy. Let's be honest, there's a big difference between living and just existing. Living means waking up with enough strength to enjoy your day. Living means walking into your kitchen and preparing a meal you love. Living means sharing a laugh, a hug, even an intimate moment, without pain or shame holding you back. And every single one of those things depends on your health being respected, no matter your age. So the next time a doctor tries to wave you off with that question, at your age, do you really need to worry about that? Don't let it pass. Look them in the eye and say, yes. Because my health today determines my comfort tomorrow. That one response changes everything. It reminds them that you are not invisible. It reminds them that you still value your life, your choices, and your well-being. And most of all, it reminds you that you are still worthy of care. Because here's the reality, no doctor, no system, no dismissive comment should ever convince you that you don't matter. You have fought too many battles, raised too many families, lived through too many storms to accept being brushed aside now. Your later years are not about waiting quietly, they are about living fully, with as much dignity, comfort, and joy as possible. These 5 questions, every single one of them, might sound innocent at first. But as you've just seen, they reveal something much deeper. And that's where the emotional truth comes in. Hearing these kinds of questions, it can leave a mark. It can make you feel invisible. It can make you feel small, unimportant, even betrayed by the very person who is supposed to be your shield, your advocate, your protector in the world of health. When you sit in that room and someone dismisses your pain, questions your memory, or brushes off your concerns, it doesn't just hurt in the moment. It lingers. It can plant a seed of doubt in your mind, and suddenly you start wondering if maybe you really are overreacting. Maybe you really are a burden. Maybe you really don't matter as much anymore. But let me pause here and tell you the truth, clear, undeniable truth. You do matter. Your voice, your concerns, your comfort, and your health matter every bit as much today as they did the day you were born. Age does not erase your worth. Wrinkles do not erase your wisdom. And time does not erase your right to be cared for with respect and dignity. Yes, these questions can feel like traps. But now, you have the clarity to see them for what they are. They're not signs that you are weak. They're not proof that you're exaggerating. They are simply tests of whether you'll stay silent, or whether you'll rise with strength. And the good news is this: now, you know how to respond. You know how to protect your voice in those moments. So if you ever hear one of these questions again, don't panic. Don't shrink back into your chair. Instead, take a deep breath, ground yourself, and respond with strength. Ask for explanations. Bring proof. Bring a notebook. Bring a trusted friend or family member if you need to. But most of all, bring the confidence that your health is worth fighting for. Because it is. Let me reassure you, no matter your age, no matter your stage in life, you still have power. You still have choices. You still deserve care that listens, care that heals, and care that respects. You are not invisible. You are not voiceless. You are not too old to matter. Your voice matters. Your concerns matter. Your health matters. Always. At every single age, in every single room, with every single doctor. Never forget that truth. To recap, let's bring everything together clearly. There are 5 red flag questions that every senior woman needs to recognize when sitting across from a doctor. They may sound innocent on the surface, but beneath them, they can signal dismissal, pressure, or a lack of respect for your voice. First, the question of trust. When a doctor asks, "Do you trust me?" it may seem like a bonding moment, but it can sometimes be a way to test whether you'll challenge their advice. Second, the question of pain. When they ask, "Are you sure it hurts that much?" it can make you second-guess your own body, when in fact your symptoms deserve serious attention. Third, the question of memory. Do you even remember what we discussed last time? It's a question that can make you feel small, when in truth, your clarity and your recall may be stronger than they give you credit for. Fourth, the question of independence. Do you really think you can live alone safely? While safety is important, your independence should never be dismissed or undermined without specific reasoning and respectful discussion. And finally, the question of priorities. At your age, do you really need to worry about that? That one can cut the deepest, because it suggests that your health, your comfort, even your joy no longer matter. But the truth is, they always do. Those 5 questions, about trust, pain, memory, independence, and priorities, are signals. Signals for you to pause, to reflect, and to remember, your health deserves respect, no matter what. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 questions have you personally been asked before? How did you respond? And looking back, is there something you wish you had said differently? Share your story in the comments below. Your words might be the encouragement another senior woman needs right now. Sometimes, just knowing that you're not alone can make all the difference. And if this video gave you something to think about, if it made you pause, reflect, or feel a little stronger, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Tips. Every single day, we uncover truths and share insights that seniors deserve to know, so you never have to face these challenges unprepared. And of course, don't forget to give this video a like, because that simple click helps this message reach more people who truly need it. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, you are wise, you are strong, and you are deserving of dignity in every conversation about your health. Stay wise, stay strong, and never forget, your health and your dignity are always worth defending. I'll see you in the next video.